Okay, so there's a few things in play today. I don't think there's as much potential as we saw yesterday. From a risk reward, things are a little bit trickier. Stocks that are in play, um, but there's still stuff there. And the nature of the market during non-earning season, there usually will be a few things each day, um, but the liquidity levels will vary, volatility. So we have some things today that are going to probably be pretty volatile, but not as liquid as we saw, like something like TRVG yesterday, or even SRPT was pretty well behaved. So in terms of the SPYs, yesterday was non-event, tight range. Take a quick look at the daily. Before this first downtrend day here on August 10th, which led to some wide range days over the last month, we had a tight consolidation above 246, and most of those days were even tighter above 246.50. Perhaps maybe we'll settle back down into that consolidation range now. You kind of see yesterday was very tight. The low of the day was in the 30s. High of the day, we did spike above 247 midday and failed. Right now we're a bit above 247. Basically, it's 247.50, 248 is the top of this. The bottom is around 246.50-ish. Oh, that's interesting. So in the after hours yesterday, we actually went down to the morning low. Now we're moving up towards the afternoon high. So it would be nice if we got a couple of days consolidation in kind of inside of these bands, and then we could play the next break for a clean move. IWM was tight between 39 and 40. Right on the open, it did spike up there to 40. Didn't quite get down to 39. So very tight as well there. Watch to see if this can stay in this range, this 1 point range for a day or two. All right, GoPro. So GoPro profitable for the first time in a couple of years. If we zoom out a little bit, we can see that it had a big move early August from 8 to 10. It had pulled back to 9.5 and then ripped higher to 10.80. So it's already come off about a half a buck from the highs here. Zoom in. Actually, let me just put this in perspective for you on the daily first. So this is one of those IPOs that was hot. It's supply-demand dynamic. There wasn't enough supply. People wanted to get in, went to 80. And then as the fundamentals started to unravel, it broke down. And it spent the last almost 2 years below $15. Here was the low back in March, gapped up, I guess, in earnings, put in its higher low, gapped up again. I don't know what caused this gap here. Maybe they pre-announced or there was a takeover rumor or something. It has the reason I showed you the daily was it's beaten down a lot, and even though it may never see $20 again, you get some bottom fissures. So just keep that in mind if it breaks through resistance that we're going to talk about. So earlier it was up around 10.50. Now it can't get above 10.25. So the first thing I'd be looking at is, does it continue to support $10? If it actually takes that out and starts to hold below, you can play it on the short side. Maybe look to make 20, 30 cents. If it actually holds $10, you can play it back up to 10.25. And you don't really need to risk much on this. It normally trades 4 million shares. It very well could trade 10 million plus shares today. Look for 20 to 30 cents, but don't risk more than 10 cents on any position. Buyers would be back in control here if it started to hold above 10.25. 10.50 is the natural resistance level, and then best case is if they really bought it up, that it worked its way back up to the high 10s, $11 area. Best case. Okay, Restoration Hardware, RH, very confused stock the last couple of years. They ran it up from the mid-20s up to, let's see what they went up to, $80. And on the way there, it gapped from 60 down to 40, and they bought it all the way back up. And then it just trended down for a few months. They reported really good numbers and raised guidance. The thing that caught my attention, though, was the revenue numbers weren't that great, and the revenue guidance wasn't that great, which says to me that they're doing a nice job of keeping their margins good. But in terms of growth, I'm not seeing a lot of growth. And the reason that's important is the stock trades at a very high multiple. In fact, if you look at the daily, you can see from the IPO, the stock went tripled basically from 2013 to 2015, 33 to 100. It's interesting. It trades at a high multiple. I would say you want to short a pop like this, but at the same time, it has over 50% short. So there's probably a lot of smart people thinking the same thing, which is this thing trades at a high multiple, even if their earnings are okay. Certainly, if some of those shorts might be irrational and bid it up right on the open to higher prices, but the chances of it drifting back down over the next few days to something closer to 60 does not seem unreasonable to me. That's my big picture thought on that. And from a price action standpoint, it clearly was being sold there at 68. Let's go to the 5 minutes so we can see it a little bit better. $69.5. Actually, it was being sold 69 here. Failed a couple of times. It pulled back 66. That was the low in the pre-market as well. But it looks like 69.70 is going to be the spot rate on the open. Let's see if it fails. That's better. So it was down at 66 here, right at 8 o'clock. They ripped it up here. This might put in its high even before the open. If it does right on the open, goes to 70, what you'd look for is a quick pullback to 68 right here. And then you'd see, does it put in a lower high? And does it come all the way back in here? Close below 66, I think you're probably looking at further pullback. I think it's up too much, but again, 57% short interest, so if it consolidates above 68 this morning and breaks to the upside, you can look for higher prices. ALNY. So we've talked about this scenario every once in a while where one of these biotechs has a clinical trial, somebody dies in the trial, they halt it, it gaps lower. Quite often it's bid higher that day and over the coming weeks because the nature of these, drug trials is you have some very, very sick people in them and they will die in these drug trials. So it doesn't necessarily mean the drug doesn't work, but they have to be cautious. So it's already bounced about $8, it looks like. You'll have these situations where we'll bounce sometimes, and then it'll get back up to an area where people are motivated to sell that have got long in the high 70s, and not only will it fail there, you'll think it might pull back a couple of dollars, but then other people want to get out, and it actually will go all the way back down, which is, we've seen that quite often in that pattern. So what do I have for levels here? 74, 75. So yeah, the way I'm going to judge this is, so say it spikes on the open up to 78 or something, you short it, and it fails. I would be playing it for maybe for a down move down at 75 area. And if it supports down here, then perhaps it works its way back up to where it failed. The only way I'd be looking for it to go all the way back down to the lows, if it came back into 75 and couldn't really muster much of a bounce, couldn't get back above 76 and then started to hold below 74, then I would think of that panic all the way back down to $68. The other thing is when something is gapping down, I should have said this about RH as well, which was gapping up $20, $30, whatever the case is. When something gaps down $10 plus, you'll get some really wide spreads on the open. And it's dangerous, but at the same time, you can get some prints that you get some lucky prints. So you literally could get like, they lift the offers, you get taken at 77.90, you're short, and you could be covering some at 76.50 like 30 seconds later. So if you want to play the game of putting in some bids and offers and some spots where you see some protection, right on the open, that can be pretty good. And at the same time, understand if you're paying the offer or hitting the bid to get into a position, your risk is probably going to be more than you think, might even be $1. Next one is KM. They did a secondary 2180. There's some support. Basically it's an insider selling, or maybe it's a private equity firm that invested, or venture capital. But it just ran up a bunch, so they decided to sell some shares. It just ran up from 19 to 24. They priced it at 2180, which is right here, where this move started the other day. I thought if I could pick up some shares here, that would be pretty good. Around 2130s, 2120s. I don't think it's going to go below 21. It looks like some people maybe already got shares down there last night when they priced the deal. Perhaps we'll get a chance to get it there again. And then I play for a move back up to here. So it's a temporary supply situation. Usually I like these things flushing below the secondary price and then a run back up. And again, there's nothing fundamentally wrong here. The reason they're selling these insiders is because they just had a nice run up. They're taking some of their profits on their investment. TRVG, every once in a while you get something that works incredibly well. This was a good example. It just was a beaten down name that lowered their growth from 50 to 40%. We said look for the flush below 11, maybe a catch reversal. I thought it was pretty much best case. Not only did it get back up to $12, this pre-market area where it sold off from, they ripped it through there all the way back to 12.80 before coming back in and testing 12. So 12 is the spot to watch to see if it continues to support there. And then upside, its upside is really a gap fill eventually. Yeah, $14 is your upside there. And then SRPT, this is another one which we said could be a tricky stock, but I thought behaved extremely well yesterday. We had 45 as a support area. It did sell off to that and then bounced all the way back up to our 48 resistance. So in terms of the behavior from off of those prices, you could ask for more. There's a little bit of trickiness, but not much for SRPT. Again, SRPT is a nasty stock sometimes. So you can see 45 quarter here, 46 resistance. Once it got above 46, it went all the way back up to the 40, almost to the 48 resistance. Looking at it this morning, it looks like 46.50 is the spot. 46.35. We support all yesterday afternoon. Let's see where it is. It's above that. So the way I would be looking to play this, same way as INSM yesterday, was quick, a little flush on the open, and look to play it for that. Basically, after the opening, profit taking had a bid all day. As always, be patient and good luck.
Hope you enjoyed that video. You can actually watch that video if you're subscribed to our Trader 90 before the market even opens. What stocks are in play? What levels in those stocks are important? And how we might go about attacking that stock. That's Steve Spencer, 20-year veteran trader, laying it out there every morning before the market even opens. A really, really powerful tool to start your session off on the right foot. So right now we're offering a trial that you can take advantage of to access this meeting and other meetings throughout the day. We have a meeting at 11 a.m. Eastern where you can sit down with Mike Bellafiore and listen to him talk about what's going on during the morning session, what stocks were in play, what the best trade opportunities were, as well as maybe some things that we're looking at heading into the afternoon session. So I really encourage you to take advantage of that trial.